guys, so this is how I travel with a feeding tube and what I take. So when traveling with a feeding tube, I think it's really important to always plan ahead. Whether that be you're going away for 3 nights or 3 weeks, I think it's always really important to make sure that you have enough to last you in case of any contingencies you may need. So I'm going away for 3 nights, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 5 days worth of feed. So technically I only need 3, but I'm going to take 5 in case we get delayed or anything like that. So whether that be I need 10 packets of feed for 3 days, I take an extra 2, extra 3, extra 4, just that it would tide me over if our flight was to get cancelled or delayed, bad weather, whatever. So that is what I always tend to do, is just take a couple of days extra just to give you that tiny bit of support. If it ends up coming home with you, it ends up coming home with you, you know, no big deal. The next thing I want to talk about is getting on a flight and how you cope with that. So a lot of people ask me like, oh, how do you know how much feed to take? How do you go through security with liquids over 100 mils? So I'm going to talk you through all that. So going through security with the liquids over 100 mils, I've done many a time in my feeding tube. There are really 2 simple rules. Keep your feeding tube items separate from everything else you have, and have a letter. They're the 2 rules. If you don't have those 2 things, you're probably going to be in trouble. So what they're going to do is you're going to come to security, and as you normally would, you're going to take your liquids out of your bag. What you want to do is take your liquids out your bag and put them in the tray separately. Then take your feeding tube liquids and your pump and put them in one tray together. So you're going to have your pump and your feed in the same tray, but your feed is going to be in a plastic bag. In that tray as well, make sure you put your passport and your letter from your doctor. This letter can be from a doctor, a dietitian. Now this letter is going to basically say why you have this feed and that it's okay for you to have it. It's going to label it specifically what you need to have and everything like that. They'll read this and then they'll put it through this liquid scanning machine, which takes a couple of extra minutes, but it just means that you can take a liquid as much as you want on the plane because it's specified. And that's really it. So generally, if I'm doing short haul in Europe from London, I will take a day's feed worth of me on the plane. If I'm going long haul, so when I went to America, I found it really, really comforting that I took more than a day's feed on the plane. So I took about 3 days feed on the plane. This is just so that if your luggage was to get lost or for whatever reason, you know, you were stuck on the plane, you couldn't get to your hold luggage, you could always have that extra feed. Also, top tip, I find that when I'm going away, I never grab all the giving sets from the same box because I have had issues where some boxes have been faulty. So always grab like half the giving sets from one box, half the giving sets from another box, just to make sure that none of them get faulty. And that's pretty much it. When it comes to security, obviously I'm a wheelchair user, so I have a pat down anyway, but your feeding tube will not stop you walking through the scanner. It will not beep, it's not made of metal, so you're absolutely fine. That if they do need to pat you down for whatever reason, just say, I have a feeding tube, please could you just be sensitive around the area. They might visually inspect it, they might touch it lightly, but they will really respect you if you just say, look, I've got a feeding tube, this is what that is. When you're away, it depends on kind of your healthcare company, but what will happen is you can get your feed sent ahead of time. I think it's like you have to have 6 weeks though, but I always tend to take mine with me. So we have 2 medical cases that we take. So if we're going away for 2 weeks, we'll fill both of these up with feed, and then that will kind of do me for the whole 2 weeks. I would always take it myself just because that's what I prefer to do and I think is a lot easier, but obviously that is up to you. Also, this week is Feeding Tube Awareness Week, so if you want to know any questions about feeding tubes, leave them down below. Obviously it is a topic that not a lot of people know much about, so it's really important to get the word out there. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching. If you do want to know any more about travelling with a feeding tube, please do let me know. If not, I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.